Welcome to Our Drummers Musicians, your backstage pass to Melbourne's vibrant music scene. Recorded on a cosy couch in Brunswick, join us as we explore what it truly means to be a musician and speak to the diverse talents that make music in our city. Today we are speaking with a very special guest, Luci Floyd, a talented bass player and vocalist deeply embedded in Melbourne's music landscape. Luci was a founding member of Paper Tapia alongside drummer Ellis and guitarist Louis. This band has evolved into Gush, now featuring a second guitarist Dom, and has developed a unique sound in the heavy shoegaze, dreamo, and post-grunge scene. With these bands, she's recorded multiple singles, and is currently working on a new EP, and has toured nationally and regularly performs at venues in the inner suburbs and city of Melbourne. Luci's musical versatility extends beyond her band. She's collaborated across various genres, including folk rock with Greg Arnold and Hanny Day, indie pop with Sydney, and improvised jazz and groove with Bloom and Femme Jams. Her formative years were rich with musical experiences, from her family's involvement in the scene to her school experiences performing with orchestras, stage bands, and singing on a choral tour of Europe. Join us as we delve into Luci's eclectic music tastes, explore her diverse musical experiences, and discuss finding her own place in the music scene. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast was recorded. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Welcome to the podcast, Luci.
Thanks, Luke.
What is the most recent album that you've listened to?
I've been listening to Adrian Linker's album Bright Future. It's been the most recent album. Been really enjoying it. Good folky vibes. Feels like those songs have been on the earth longer than they have. Like longer than I've been alive, but they're just good folky songs with beautiful harmonies, interesting vulnerability. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Are they the things that you most like about music?
Folky vibes and vulnerability?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like those things. I don't know if I could say I like them the most. Vulnerability is a good one across genres, but folky vibes is also up there.
So what is the music that you like, the most or characteristics of?
Yeah, I couldn't put that down to a genre, but I think characteristics of any sort of art, something that makes you feel something, regardless of what that is, but joy or vulnerability, sadness even, but I think vulnerability is a good one across genres, whether that's just like a pure joy or a melancholy or anything, something that makes me feel something.
When you say vulnerability, is that in like the sonic performance of the piece, or are you referring to lyrics specifically?
No, definitely not to the lyrics specifically. I think it comes back to, I guess, any raw emotion. If it's authentic and true and that can speak through the music, then that is what I mean, I guess, by vulnerability, openness and maybe a fragility sometimes, or authentic openness to whatever feeling the song or music is portraying.
Where do you think that came from? Your appreciation for that?
I think personally, I think that's what music's for and always has been for. Whether it's connecting with other people, we've probably been making music forever, singing and hitting things, and I think that's a vulnerable thing. It's an expression of feeling and wanting to connect, or wanting to feel something, or not wanting to be in silence alone with your thoughts. So having some sound, some music there is good. So I think it's innate in me, at least in my view of what it is to be a human too.
Yeah, cool. Well, what is it to you to be a musician?
To be a musician, I like to separate it from a profession, from the title of doing that profession. I think more broadly, to be a musician is anyone who plays music or involves themselves in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like to look at it from a very wide lens. Any instrument or singing or being an artist, they're all forms of being a musician.
Yeah, cool. So if we go back to, the very first time that you became involved in playing music or the, industry, like you said, when did you first become a musician?
I mean, I think becoming involved with music is something that most of us do at a very, very young age, and I feel like I definitely did it at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a father who's a musician and a mum who appreciates music and encouraged and listened and engaged with music at a deep level. I remember seeing music affect people at a really, really, really young age, from earliest memories of going to gigs and seeing people dancing and having fun, or seeing a family member get emotional listening to a song.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of actually connecting with the industry, I think since being a teenager and playing gigs,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been playing with Louis and Ellis in some format since I was about 16 or 17, been gigging at venues across Melbourne. But I think before that, through experiences at school, went to good public schools with good music programs and was able to play at different concerts and things in choirs and Stedfords and band comps since I was very young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what was it like? What kind of school programs were you involved with?
I was always singing in choirs, I think, from like prep, and picked up the bass when I was probably 7 or 8, maybe. Got it for Christmas, and then probably started lessons maybe when I was 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on was able to join orchestras and bands, and then into high school stage bands, jazz bands, more like contemporary music bands. I picked up the double bass for a bit and was able to play in string orchestras, or rather large string orchestras with big full sections, which is pretty special.
Like how many people is large?
Like, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe like we had 5 cellos, at least 3 or 4 double basses,
Mm-hmm.
and plenty of violins and violas, so maybe upwards of 30 people,
Mm-hmm.
and even bigger bands of up to, I don't know, 50 plus, playing big shows at school. We used to do like a Hamer Hall,
Mm.
as you know.
Yeah, well, the symphony orchestra I think had 100.
Yeah, wow.
Mm.
Yeah, so being a part of big groups, making big sounds and seeing all the different types of instrumentation and different reasons that people played music as well, whether it be for like supporting academic nature of it or a hobby and an interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How important do you think it was to be involved in, the school band programs?
Yeah, I think it gave me a purpose and an outlet for playing. I think I would have struggled to have the enthusiasm and certainly the breadth of styles that I was able to play. I played in a big band outside of school growing up as well, and I certainly wouldn't have done that, I don't think, without the encouragement from in school and having those programs and support and being able to be part of a community who play music, and still
Mm-hmm.
some of my close friends today, well, including you. Yeah, playing music like that was important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if we go back, to the very start of you playing, it was your mum actually that chose the bass for you, is that right?
Yeah, she always listened out for the bass, thought it would be cool, I think, and likes a bit of Level 42, Mark King,
Mm-hmm.
lots of bass-heavy tracks, so I think she thought it would be a cool instrument that would fit, and I think she was right. So
Oh, yeah. Well done, Anne.
yeah.
Very grateful for that decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a good thing. And I think growing up, I wished maybe that I played guitar at times, because it was, when I picked up the guitar, I was like, oh, there's an extra 2 strings. It'd be good to know how to use this and have the basis of knowing chords and things. And the same as when I picked up the double bass in high school and went, oh, this thing's bigger and harder to know my way around. If I'd started on this, maybe I'd be ahead. But I think, that's just the way it is. And I'm feel glad to feel like a specialist on the bass. Like there's heaps of amazing bass players who are specialists on bass, and there's heaps of amazing bass players who sort of would call themselves a guitarist first, but it's nice being able to play the bass and I think see it in its sort of more trad role as playing that supportive role. Yeah.
So run us through your journey of basses.
Of basses,
please.
my physical basses.
Yeah.
Or
like teachers through the years if that's something that's also important.
Yeah, sure. Well, I got a funny old, it wasn't like a Yamaha, it was like a Yamaha copy, cheap starter bass, but it was massive for little primary school me.
Like a full-size starter bass?
Yeah. And I think I've still got it now. It was like a sort of a deep blue, but it was massive. So I started to play that and someone said, this is too big. So I was very lucky that Joe Camilleri and his stash of guitars, he had a 3/4 size down electro bass sitting in one of his, guitar storage things, and very lucky to have been handed that Dano, which I still play all the time to this day. I love it. And that was a perfect size for me to get going. And I love its mellow tone. I think probably had something to do with me loving that sound and then leaning in towards that mellow Motown sort of bass tone. And that got me through to high school when the dollar was really good in the US. And I have an auntie who lives in San Francisco. So I was able to say, hey, do you think you could bring a American jazz bass over next time? Because it's about half the price I could get it here in Melbourne because the dollar was so good. And
wow.
I think I must have been 14 or 15 and saved up my money from working at the pharmacy, local pharmacy, and got my jazz bass, which I still play as my main gigging instrument to this day. And I do have like a acoustic bass guitar, not double bass, that friends chipped in and got me for a birthday one year, and that's really fun to play. I played that a couple of sort of acoustic folky gigs, but it's just great to pick up and play and not have to amplify my bass. It has a very different sound as well. And more recently, after finishing my uni degree, getting admitted as a lawyer, I got a beautiful Hofner bass from you, which I love very much.
Do you have a favorite bass, for playing the music that most feels like you?
I think I'm just most comfortable on the jazz. So it's my most versatile. But I think the Dano does feel like the most like me with its mellow tones and since having it set up well. Yeah. So but I need to get the Hofner serviced and then that one might take over. It's a 3/4 as well.
Yeah, so do you have plans to set that up and play it a bit more?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to. I think especially with Hanny Day, I think that would really suit her project and would be heaps of fun.
Well, we'll get back to, we'll move on to your band soon, but maybe we could start, with some of these other sort of family band scenarios. Like we did the gigs together with Greg Arnold and Hanny Day last year at the Northcote Social Club.
Yeah,
and a couple other gigs with Han. Yeah. So what's it like for you when you get to make music with your uncle and your cousin? And we also played some gigs with my sister under her name, Sydney.
Yeah.
What's that experience like for you where it's not just playing music, but in some different styles and with family members too?
Really special. I mean, my band Gush that I play with all the time, they feel like family. And I feel like playing with all these people who are super important in my life as well is the most special thing. And playing with Hanny in particular, after that part of my family being overseas in Switzerland for a number of years and being able to have her come back and, have lots of cousins. She's my only female cousin, and just have that connection is so special, and love the music that she makes. And same with Greg Arnold, my Uncle Greg, just awesome to be able to play with him. I've been listening to his music and, going along to gigs to see Things of Stone and Wood and Greg play my whole life, and then to be able to play with him. I remember him coming down to when I first got my bass and me playing some like basic open string exercise for Uncle Greg when I was first learning, and to be able to play and rock out, it was a bit of a workout, lots of 16th notes, and got calluses on my hand from rocking out with Greg. He's like hardcore in that folk rock world, so that was super fun. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool that we got to speak to Greg on the first episode.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song from his most recent album, In the Sky, from the gigs or from listening?
They're all rippers. I would have to consult. I feel like In the Sky, I love that 10th bass start. That's great. So I think I really like that song and how it sort of mellows down and then just lifts up. And all of those songs just have such epic anthem sort of choruses that are so uplifting. So I really enjoyed playing and listening to that.
All right, and what about, I mentioned Bloom and Fem Jams. It's like a whole different hat of, improvised music that you've worn. What was that experience like?
Yeah, super fun. I think quite daunting at first, having not, done a music degree like a lot of the people that I got to play with in that space, young, up-and-coming female musicians. So at first a bit daunting, but heaps of fun. And those Bloom sessions, crazy that at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, things were just like popping off at the Toff in town, and a really supportive community, a great way to meet other female instrumentalists, female musicians that I would otherwise not cross paths with, who are all doing great things in the industry, and to be able to come together and share in that was really special. And yeah, there's some really fun creative ideas. It would be so different each time depending on who played in the lineup, with some consistent people as well. But yeah, it was a really great experience.
Could you describe the concept of what this night was for people that don't know? Yeah,
sure. So Bloom ran at the Toff in town in the city on Tuesdays. I think it might have kicked off at midnight after the house or whoever was playing that evening went off, and it was an open jam session with a all-female core band. So we'd kick things off and play a few tunes, and then we'd open up the stage to if anyone wanted to come. We'd have this one guy who'd always get up and rap. He was incredible. And some other people just, great dancers as well would sometimes turn up. And then similarly, Fem Jams, that was Bloom, and then Fem Jams was a similar concept, and just supportive environment for female musicians. But then opened up the floor to anyone who wanted to come along.
Were you involved in running it or in the house band?
I was in the house band every time that I was involved with those with the group, but some incredible other female musicians were running those events, and asked me to play, which was very lucky of me.
Yeah, cool. Well, if we go to your true passion, or at least main musical outlet of the last 10 years, playing with Alice and Louis and now Dom as Gush, could you tell us about what it was like, how the band got started, when it was, first put together when you were still in high school, and then what it's been like developing that, and then sort of ending the paper tape journey and starting the new one as Gush, only a couple of years ago?
Yeah, sure. So I went to primary school with Alice, who's an incredible drummer, a graduate of VCA on jazz drums. And Louis and Alice went to VCAS, Specialist Music School in Victoria, and I think our primary school music teacher, Gary Hayes, was retiring, and that's how we first reached out to each other. And yeah, needed a bass player, so got in touch and we started playing music, sort of improvising. It was a bit more punky, sort of ska influence. And we just would play and write every weekend, basically. We'd end up at Ellis's place in Donvale where there was a kid set up, or at ours where we were really lucky to have spaces where our families would let us play, and we would play and write songs. And at that point, none of us were really singers. And Louis was doing a lot of the writing, so stepped into that spot, and it's been amazing to see his voice get so much better over the years. And I also started singing more around that time. We'd sort of early on shared the vocals. Now I'm more backing vocal, but love singing in that band as well. And we just kept meeting up most weekends, or we just didn't stop. Even various times when one of us would be overseas for a time, we'd just keep writing and chipping away in smaller groups. And then this was all as paper tape here, but sort of around COVID, we did some recording at Tender Trap Studios with AJ Bradford in Northcote, which was great. And he was really supportive. We sort of started to get started in a bit of a management deal and things, but then COVID happened, which was a shame in that timing, but we had the support of AJ, and we kept meeting up on Zoom every week, and we'd share an album with each other. Every week we'd all have to come up with an album, and we'd listen to it as homework and get back together, discuss, what we'd been listening to, why we like it, what we want to do with the band. So we just kept that up and decided we wanted a bigger sound. We wanted a different guitarist, and Louis played with Dom in Fuzz Meadows, an excellent group, sadly no longer together, but you can listen to them online. And Dom was just a perfect fit and a really good hang as well, which was important, and slotted right in. An incredible guitarist, loves loud amps. They make him very happy. And we've been Gush since then and continued to play gigs and try to take things a little bit more slowly and be a bit more intentional. We've had heaps of fun last year. We played a lot of shows, and we'll be playing more this year and releasing an EP.
Yeah, because you play a lot of shows with Gush. It seems like every month you'd have at least one, sometimes more shows. Would that be right? Yeah,
last year we definitely had more than one, a couple each month, and we were able to do a interstate tour, which was special and heaps of fun. So being a bit more selective and taking stock and writing, recording more this year, but still going to keep playing shows.
And you do a regular rehearsal each week. How long have you been doing that for, and what's the reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing that really since we started. That's how we started, is we were just getting together every Sunday, having a play. And I think it makes us a really tight band, if I can say that. And
definitely.
We really enjoy it. I think we go a bit stir crazy after a few, we can't do it every week. One of us will go away, or we have a few weeks off and we get back together and we're all like, oh, we miss this. So I think it's just a really nice activity to do, and it allows songs to naturally grow and come into place. We work hard on songwriting, Louis in particular, bringing things to the table, but I think having that regular time together means that we always have an outlet for making music, and sometimes we just get together and talk, and we play some old songs. Other times we lock in on a new song, so it's very different week to week, just depending on how we're feeling.
So is Louis the main songwriter, and he'll bring songs in that you then workshop together, or is it more collaborative and you sort of create things on the spot together?
Yeah, we haven't created things on the spot for a while. That's certainly, I think, how the band formed a bit more so. But Louis has been bringing a lot to the table, in amongst studying his masters on classical guitar and lots of other things. But yeah, he brings lots of different ideas. Some might sit in the background for ages before they become a song. Others just come together immediately. Yeah, it really, really depends. But we all just bring our own flavor, and sometimes Louis and I might sit down, or Dom and Louis might sit down, or Alice and Louis, or even Alice might come to the table with songs. It really depends. Yeah.
One of the things I used to really like about seeing the band was that, like you said, it's a very tight band, which I think you're right in saying comes from having these regular rehearsals where you're playing with each other, so much live and practicing, as well as, you've been playing with them for so many years now. What's it like having a new member join that? And how have you gone about, trying to maintain that same tightness? Was there anything deliberate that you were doing when the band sort of changed and became Gush? Or was it just, it sort of just naturally happened?
I think it naturally happened in the sense that our sound was changing, and Dom joined at that time and changed our sound, as well as it was already on a different route. I think at the beginning we were conscious of Dom joining something that was already established, even though we all knew Dom and, were friends to varying degrees. But I mean, now it's completely seamless. So this is looking back a couple of years, but I think at the start it was very much like Dom was listening and was there with just open ears, taking it all in. And now, for a while now, it's been playing a much more solid role and stepping in and writing and doing that. But just natural progress of becoming more comfortable and more familiar with us as a band.
Mm-hmm.
And now creating the band. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And you've put out some fun music videos, both as Paper Tapia and Gush has a new one too.
Yeah.
What were those experiences like?
Yes, heaps of fun. One of probably my oldest friend, Phoebe Flower, is an incredible editor and directed and really did everything for those films, starting with Peace of Mind, an old Paper Tapia video when Phoebe was still studying at Swinburne, and we had the benefit of Swinburne's resources.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been heaps of fun doing music videos with her, very different vibes, and we're silly, tough but cute is our little kind of brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so heaps of fun. I mean, we just have heaps of fun together, and I feel like Phoebe gets that and sees that and knows we're a bit silly, but we love each other, and it's easy just to hang out. And yeah,
cool. Well, you mentioned Dom likes really loud amps, and the gigs that you play are very loud. What's it like playing, in like loud bands rather than a whole bunch of the stuff that you were talking about before, where it was like, in high school I did orchestra and choir and jazz bands.
Yes.
Whereas this is like, maximum amplified heavy music.
Yeah, very different to classical orchestras and choirs. And I love those things too. They all have their place. And there's something about playing loud music that's really cathartic. It feels really good. Sort of the physical feeling in your chest of, all those sound waves hitting you, that sonic hugeness, for lack of a better word. And it is fun. We're not playing that loud all the time. And we definitely have a huge dynamic range in our music. But when we go loud, we go really loud. And so I encourage earplugs for everybody. At most gigs at the bar, you can get the earplugs. Important.
Mm-hmm.
But people love it too. And people get really into it. And I think have commented before on how, as a band that sort of touches on that shoegaze feel, where we do have some more ambient parts to our music, but we also have that heavy rock, big sound as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of an important part of our sound. Yeah, and some of those tonalities really only sing or translate when you are playing loud. Especially watching Ellis as a drummer since we first started really hit harder, and how it just makes the drums sound so much bigger and come alive in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've played with a lot of different drummers over the years. What is it that you like about playing with Alice in particular that's like, you've been that rhythm section for so long?
Yeah, I think they play really interesting parts. They're very technically astute, very well rehearsed, practicing a lot lately. And you can tell like some of the fills and things that they do can be really interesting and precise, but yet also just being able to lock in to a groove. It's really simple. I think of a song Clover that we have released, and it's just like really solid throughout. So having a drummer who is really solid on time and really precise and careful, but yet also just locks in and has that sort of groove element, regardless of what style it is really important.
So where did the heavy music come from for you? Was that something that you were interested in before you started playing with the band? Or is it just something that's, developed with the sound when you started off as a ska punk band? Over the years, it's just moved and your tastes have moved and grown with that.
I mean, I've always been into sort of 90s rock, like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, more grungy rock alt music. But I think in terms of Gush or Paper Tapia and Gush's sound, Louis and Ellis and Dom listen to like heavier music more consistently than I would. So that's probably the biggest influence on the band's sound. But yeah, I find it really hard to describe our sound to people. Because whilst it is loud music and it's heavy, I would say it's also really has those vulnerable, close moments as well.
I liked how you described it, saying it had a very large dynamic range, which it's definitely true. It's not just a constant wall of sound.
No, but we love that lush, rich sound, which Dom really, really is made shine.
So what other kind of music, do you like? Not so much from the playing side, but more the listening. Is that a big part of your life?
Listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It ebbs and flows, but at most times I'll have like an album or something that I'm sort of deep diving into. But I mean, there's not much I don't listen to, but I think whilst I play in a heavy sort of band, folk music is probably my favorite if I had to put my finger on one. I mean, like growing up, classic Paul McCartney, the Beatles was a bit of an obsession at high school. And I mean, they span so many styles in their music anyway, but I think that where I love folk music is just that craftsmanship of a song. And yeah, the beauty of just a simple song, a simple melody, harmony, guitar. I do love to just sit down and strum away at my guitar and play acoustic music as well. Something really beautiful, and singing harmonies with Honey, or I've just always loved singing harmonies with everyone. It's been really, really fun.
Yeah, it was really great when we were in lockdown and got to just sit around and play music together.
Yeah. We loved that.
And Kit posting a couple of our favorites just for, friends and stuff
too,
that were also locked down in home.
And I think to me that's like getting back to that. You strip everything away, just playing a song and playing it with people that you care about, and enjoying that process of sitting down. And I think that was really great as well, like letting go of, doesn't need to be polished or perfect. It just is capturing a moment and doing music, playing for the joy of it.
Well, I feel like you're very good at that. Not saying that you're not, playing stuff that is not incredible, but you're also you're a very, very talented bass player, but you're also very good at being positive and just putting, the material out there, or the song out, or playing the gig, or playing the show, not letting some like other fears or concerns or anxieties like hold you back. You're still very much like a go-getter, get it out there, get it done, do this stuff. And, I personally find it very encouraging and inspiring, because I'm not so much like that. I've got, years worth of music that's never ever been released because, it's never quite right. And, it's quite exciting always to see you doing more things and going through all these different bands, but also, having the Gush project be such a long-term thing that you're still doing. And, it's always exciting when you get to play the music with me. That makes me the most happy.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, that's, I guess, important for me, because I feel like what else is it for? Like, it's not like you're doing surgeries on people who are going to die. You're playing music. It should be joyous or happy. Like, I know it's serious, and I'm sure if I studied it, and if I was a classical player who was worried about their bowing technique and things, then like I would maybe think differently, and there's certainly a place for that, but it's not my place. And I think for me, not delving myself too deeply into the world of studying music, although who knows what the future will hold, but I think for me that's what it is about. It's not about doing it professionally to this standard. It's about capturing a moment and being a part of something and expressing feeling and joy that people want to get around and be a part of.
Is there anything in particular that stands out as having instilled that with you, or a moment in time where you experienced that musically or something?
Yeah, well, I guess, you spoke earlier about certain family members that I get to play with, and they all have very different approaches in many ways, but I think because it's something that has always been a part of like community and relationship, not doing it for a pursuit of, money or success or whatever. That just has enabled me. Really grateful for it being able to just be something that is fun. I mean, growing up when you have to practice and you're slogging away at an instrument, it's important because you have to know your instrument and know how to do it, and there's a place for that. But really, it's not for that. It's for what you want it to be, and I want it to be, enjoying playing music and enjoying being part of that, and not something that's a detriment to my life or relationships, but something that grows them.
So what are you looking forward to the most about, the next phase of the music? Like, you're recording the EP with Gush at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only thing you're working on right now?
I am excited to do some more work with Hanny Day.
Mm-hmm.
That will be really awesome. She's just coming into her own space and doesn't have anything recorded just yet, but hopefully that will change soon.
What kind of music is that for the people that don't know?
Hanny's music is sort of a folky indie rock. I'm trying to think of like influences. Lizzie McAlpine, PB Bridges with a cutesy punky twist.
LXG, I think, is her
LXG.
favorite,
We love
reference
LXG.
track.
So some really fun lyrics and clever music, great melodies, harmonies, interesting arrangements. So it'd be really great to play more with her and with you on the drums. Look forward to continuing to play with Gush and see how that goes. I hope to make some more acoustic videos with you as well. That would be nice. Pick up the guitar more. It's been a while. It's probably getting a bit dusty, so I need to give it some love.
You're a good guitarist too.
Thank you.
Once Gush finishes the EP, like, are you the kind of band that's got like a launch schedule and a date and, the whole rest of the year's planned out? Or it's just one thing at a time in the studio working on it now, but, what comes?
Well, we're pretty much there with the recording. We're in the studio with Gormy. It's got a great place just out of Pakenham, wonderful studio. We recorded there in Jan and just been sort of doing finishing touches. And then we actually have a release booked, or a single release show booked at the Bergie Band Room in Brunswick on the 7th of June.
Oh, yeah?
Friday night, which will be fun. We're playing with some great bands, and, maybe later this year we might head into state if we get the time. Otherwise, just continuing to work on that music and release it slowly throughout the year and keep recording and writing some new stuff as well.
Yeah, cool.
And we really love the bands we play with as well, I think, which makes it really special. So continuing to foster those connections, and, we love playing support acts for other bands. We played with Dog World recently. We love our friends Dog Door. Their new releases have been awesome.
Is that two different bands? Dog
World. Yeah.
Both in the same Melbourne scene?
Yeah. They both just came to mind. It's a Dog World. Dog Eat Dog. That's anyway. So awesome bands in the scene that are really lovely and encouraging.
Well, I like to wrap up with 5 quick questions.
Okay.
Are you happy to play along?
Sure. Let's go.
What is your favourite venue to play in Melbourne?
At the moment, I'm enjoying Bergie Band Room. But Gasso and the Old Bar are up there. Also, Last Chance Rock and Roll Bar. It's fun. Been a while. A little selection. Can't choose a favourite.
Do you have a dream venue to play at?
I'd love to play at the Forum. Yeah.
Which band?
With Gush. Yeah.
What is your coffee order?
Just a latte. A small latte. Sometimes I mix it up with some almond milk or oat or soy, whatever.
What is your favourite place to get food after a gig?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, just anywhere for a HSP or something. Yeah. There's really good midnight spaghetti in Adelaide. When we were in Adelaide, we played at the Crown and Anchor Hotel. Upstairs, they have this spot, Midnight Spaghetti, but it's Adelaide, so they don't actually open. Like, we were like, oh, we have to get it at midnight, but it doesn't actually mean that it opens at midnight. It's like shuts before midnight, but still, that was great. And you get like a free pasta if you play there.
Oh.
So you go upstairs and it's a really nice little Italian restaurant, beautiful old pub, but done really well with plants everywhere and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Has anywhere in Melbourne put on a good feed for you as a band that you like playing at?
Too many to think of. I don't know the names of any of them though. So I mean, there's this great pizza place like on Smith Street. That good place across from the Tote, sort of like Singapore style food. I mean, Last Chance Rock and Roll Bar, they do really good food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good prices, good food.
Very cheap food on a Wednesday night, I think.
Oh, like all nights. Yeah, it's good.
All right, well, final question, Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
What is one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Depends how young the self that I'm giving age, like which younger self I'm giving it to, my 7-year-old self or my 17-year-old self.
Oh, you
whatever.
You can pick. Or give us a couple if you'd like.
I think you just enjoy it. Like keep working hard. It's worth it, and have fun. You're on the right path. You're doing fine.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think I knew that deep down, but I was also very stressed at times. So can't hurt hearing that. Not very profound, but yeah,
it's nice. It's encouraging.
Thanks.
It's a lot of the qualities that you have, and I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been like very lovely to chat to you. You're a super talented musician, and you know, I love the moments that we get to play with each other with different bands, and that, you know, we get to make music at home, and it's been really nice that you've encouraged me in doing this project, just as, you know, something to do and chat with more people, and thanks for sharing your voice and your perspectives and experience in the mix.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that I forgot to ask?
No, you're doing great. Love it. Love you.
Thanks. I love you too. Thanks for joining us on Our Drummers Musicians. I hope you enjoyed getting to know another Melbourne muso like I did. Help us grow by leaving a review, share the podcast with friends and family, and subscribe on our website for extra info. Got a guest you'd love to hear on the show? Please let us know at ourdrummersmusicians.com. See you next time.